North Korea has warned Japan against hostile acts, threatening to put it under radioactive clouds if World War III broke out. Japan would be the first to suffer if it backed U.S. military action against the hermit state, North Korean officials warned. State-run newspaper Rodong Sinmun reminded Tokyo of its previous experience involving nuclear weapons. And the report stated the country would become the #1 target for a North Korean strike as it housed U.S. forces and would be put under radioactive clouds before any country. The newspaper said on Wednesday, in case of a nuclear war on the peninsula, Japan that houses logistic bases, launching bases and sortie bases of the U.S. forces will be put under radioactive clouds before any country. If Japan is truly concerned about its interests, it has to make due efforts for the peaceful settlement of the Korean Peninsula issue. As the first country in the world that suffered a bomb disaster, Japan knows better than others how terrible the nuclear disaster is. Under the country's post-World War II constitution, Japan can only use military force in cases of self-defense. Now the country plans to amend its pacifist constitution, which was introduced after the nuclear destruction of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945. And Prime Minister Shinzo Abe promised that country will be born anew and will move forward in a solid manner. However, the newspaper commentary continued, the Japanese authorities should behave with discretion, clearly understanding that it is Japan that will be affected most once a war breaks out on the peninsula. Another aim is to stimulate its reeling economy with the orders of new war supplies from the U.S. after a war breaks out on the Korean peninsula, and thus gain a windfall, just as it did during the past Korean War. Japan knows better than others how terrible the nuclear disaster is, North Korean state-run newspaper Rodong Sinmun. The newspaper article comes after North Korea blamed Japan for rising tensions in the peninsula, as the Hermit Kingdom threatened the land of the rising sun would be obliterated if war broke out. The paper previously said it was a piece of cake for the North Korean army to strike Japan, and added the missiles also have the scope to reach the U.S. The North Korean peninsula is on the brink of a nuclear war, it said, and added Japan is winnowing the tense situation. North Korea has accused Donald Trump of trying to start World War III by launching a show of nuclear force alongside the Japanese and South Korean military. President Trump used 2 strategic bomber aircraft in training drills on the Korean peninsula in the last few days, allegedly simulating a nuclear bomb-dropping run. Kim Jong-un continues to conduct nuclear missile tests, although the last 2 have failed spectacularly. The 33-year-old also conducted the largest live-firing exercise of his tyrannical reign, which began on December 26, 2011, last week, and released a propaganda video threatening to blow up the White House. But, in response to the U.S. flyover, Kim Jong-un said, the reckless military provocation is pushing the situation on the Korean peninsula closer to the brink of nuclear war. Other U.S. warmongers are crying out for making a preemptive strike. Tensions had appeared to have eased after Donald Trump said he would be willing to meet leader Kim Jong-un. The Republican said, if it would be appropriate for me to meet with him, I would be honored to do it. However, White House spokesman Sean Spicer was quick to point out that the right conditions are not there right now and any prospective meeting would not be happening anytime soon. President Trump's simulated bombing run came at the behest of his South Korean allies, with acting President Hong Kyo-ahn asking for maximum levels of support. He said, I am asking foreign and security ministries to further strengthen military readiness in order for North Korea not to miscalculate and drive the Korea-US alliance. And I am seeking cooperation from neighboring countries such as China to put pressure on the North. North Korea is technically still at war with the South as the 2 nations signed a truce in 1995, not a treaty. The South Korean capital, Seoul, is a constant bargaining chip when it comes to military action in the region, with any American military action likely to lead to the total annihilation of the bustling city.